So you find Moses because he's troubled, because ever since he decided to do what God told him to do, he has experienced nothing but trouble. Is that anybody's testimony here? For some reason, when I decided to start serving God, my life went right up a highway that I never thought it would go up to. I don't know about you, but when you get really serious about serving God and straightening up your life, for some reason the haters show up in flocks. I mean, they fly in and they got to start talking about you. Right. I mean, back then you didn't know me, now I'm hot, you all on me, and now I have a problem because before I started serving God, I was cool. I had nice clothes and I had nice friends and I could go to the club and I had all of the popularity. But as soon as I came to church and you saw me up there and I had a vulnerable moment before God, now all of a sudden you don't want to be my friend. You don't want to invite me in environments where you guys smoke and drink because I guess that's just too cool for me. I guess I haven't been in that environment long enough or something, but all of a sudden you got a problem with me. Has anybody ever experienced this, or is it just me? Some of you can't raise your hand because the people who do it are probably in the room. And so he found himself in this space of trouble. And he comes back to God asking a crazy question. Oh, Lord, why did you bring trouble on these folk? Is this why you sent me here? I know when I was in school, boy, I thought I was smart till I got in class. And I had to ask myself, Lord, why you got to bring trouble on me? Is this why you sent me here? Ever since I came to college, you've done nothing but brought trouble in my life. Somebody referred to it as the other day, what was I, like a kid in a candy shop? I'm not trying to testify. But we find Moses. I'm going to give you a nugget here. And this is something that's very applicable. So Moses came back to God because Moses was expecting what God said to happen. He was sure that if he obeyed God, then everything would work out. He spent enough time wrestling with God, saying, God, I just don't know. And when he finally did it, it didn't work out how he had planned it. Look, why was Moses doing this? It was because Moses expected something from God. When you finally commit yourself to God, there has to be an expectancy that comes along with it.
Right.
There is no reason to come to church if you're not expecting anything from God. There's no reason to try to correct yourself morally. There's no reason to try to move and press in a direction that will be beneficial in your life if you're not expecting God to make a way.
Right.
Because the reality is we got habits, yes? I mean, we have things that we really like to do. I mean, we have habits. I'm talking behind the wall habits that if anybody knew about the habit behind the wall, they would question why it is that we are even in the church in the first place. I got a friend that says, I'm not coming to church because when I step in the door, I'm going to catch on fire. He must got a habit that he don't want anybody to know about. I said, well, if you don't catch on fire, I've been smoking for the last 5 years and I just don't want anybody to see it because God has managed to keep my habit in the habit space. And so we find Moses came back because he was expecting something from God. And so when you then engage the different areas of your life, do you then expect from God or do you expect from man? And so that when that doesn't go the way you planned it to, who do you go to? Do you go to God or do you go to man? See, I started questioning this thing because Moses had a real good partner. His name was Aaron. And if anybody should have heard about it first, it should have been Aaron. Because Aaron walked through the trial with him, watched him be embarrassed, watched him go through all of this stuff, and he was sitting right by his side. Now, I know it's hard. It's easy for y'all, but sometimes I have trouble because when something happens, the person closest to me is going to hear about it. I don't know about you, but I have trouble keeping stuff to myself. If you disrespect me and I cannot lash out on you, the first person that calls me, I'm going out. I don't believe what this person just did to me. Oh my God, I shoulda, I woulda, I coulda. Oh, if they only knew me back when. And so Moses had every reason to talk to Aaron, but he managed to find himself back in God's presence. how bad do you want it? Because the reality is, if you want it bad enough, you'll be willing to go through ridicule. You'll be willing to go through suffering. You'll be willing to go through people talking about you and not understanding you just to get back to the person that gave you the instruction in the first place.
Right.
If you want it bad enough. See, and there's not really a thirst that exists. I don't mean to criticize my own generation, but the reality is it seems like church is not cool anymore. Whatever happened to when you can say that you're a Christian and it stood for something positive? Yeah. Whatever happened to when you can say I serve God and I do it with all my heart and you were actually cool? It was trendy. For some reason, we've taken this lifestyle of whatever you want to call it. I like to call it sin. We like to take this lifestyle of sin and make it something that's attractive. And what we don't see is that the more that we do that, we're drawing people away from a lifestyle that we're trying to live, and we're glamorizing this other lifestyle. How bad do you want it? How bad? See, many of us say, I want to get straight A's. How bad? How bad do you want it? You don't want it bad enough to turn that phone off. Yeah, if it hurts, stay out. Right. You don't want it bad enough to dump old girl or old boy. Yeah. You don't want it that bad. But when you come out in public, you act like you want it bad. I want to get straight A's. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? It's a seed I'm trying to place in your spirit, because the more you say you want something, the more God is going to put you in position to get it. God, I just said something. The more you say you want it, the more you say you want it. We say crazy things like, I want to be a millionaire. And God says, all right, you want to be a millionaire? Let me start you on the process. And for some reason, we still trying to get it right. We ain't moved yet, because the place that God is showing us and the path that God is showing us seems to be too hard. We say things like, we want patience. Oh God, don't ever pray that prayer in your life, because the second you utter to God, give me more patience. Oh, you got a handful of Negroes that's going to come up to your face and give you stuff that you have never, ever seen before. You run into some ridiculously ignorant people that's going to test your nerves and do things to you that you ain't never had done to you before. I mean, they really going to step on your brand new white shoes and expect you not to say nothing about it. They're going to talk about your clothes and expect you to sit there and act like it's all cool. They're going to ruin your reputation and then come and try to give you a hug in public. Don't talk to me, homie. We just pouring out a freaking reputation. What's up with that? You're praying for patience. How bad do you want it?